Hey everyone, in this video I'm going to explain to you all how to play the range AD carry Ashe. This champion is not for new players or players new to the role of AD carry. Ashe is not forgiving to mistakes, nor has she an ability to reposition herself, hence not for new players. Ashe is a utility based AD carry with the only ranged hard stun in the game. Her CC can control teamfights and completely counter some bruiser based comps, not even allowing them to hit her once. She is one of the best teamfight initiations in the game, making her extremely viable versus poke comps, or if your comp is no hard initiation itself. I will begin by going over simple stuff like runes, masteries and summoner spells. If you already know about this stuff, please move on and click the time in the description. Summoner spells. I will put these in order on how viable / effective they are in Ashe. Flash. No matter how many times they nerf it, it will always be a viable pick. So for Ashe with no hard escape, it's pretty much mandatory. I'm sure you're sick of hearing this, and it's pretty self-explanatory, so I'll move on. The next spell I highly recommend is Cleanse. The reason for this is the fact that if you get silver stunned, you'll be hard pressed to kite as Ashe. I run Cleanse on Ashe, and it always makes me next to impossible to get or shut down. Barrier. This shield start game can negate a ton of damage and potentially get you that first blood, or save you from that bursty opponent. This spell is a fantastic bait spell that will allow you to turn the tides of battle on any unexperienced player. Although it doesn't scale as well as Cleanse, it's still a viable choice. Heal. This is another defensive spell. Good early game, kinda awful end. It's still a moderate choice. For the final two summoners, I will go over Exhaust and Ignite. Both are very aggressive based summoners, and with Ashe, they aren't as effective as they could be. But I will mention them. Exhaust. Again, I don't like it, but it can work with a duo bot lane Exhaust. If your support grabs it, it's pretty much a definite first blood. Ignite. Personally I hate it on an AD carry, but again, first blood's always nice with it. For Masteries, I pretty much go with the standard 2109 as shown below. You can pause it now to have a look. For runes, I run Armor Pen Reds, Armor Yellows, Magic Resist Blues and Attack Damage Quints, or Armor Pen Reds, Armor Yellows, Magic Resist Blues, Lifesteal Quints. This can be seen below. I'll scroll over each one and you can pause in sequence. Which comp should Ashe be with? As shown below, try to position yourself with comps that can defend you in some way or another. Ashe is no real hard escape, so try not to be in a full bruiser based comp / poke based comp that can't defend you at all. A few examples of good comps are shown below. Which comps should Ashe not be picked against? Ashe isn't a champion you can safely pick every game. She can be countered hard and she is weak versus heavy CC based teams. Don't pick her against teams like the ones I'm showing below now. The reason for this is she can't kite someone who can simply hard initiate her or CC her out. Finally, which comp should Ashe be picked versus? She must be picked versus teams like the ones I'm showing below. As you can see, it's filled mainly with bruisers with little or no gap closers but with tons of damage. These kinds of teams allow you to absolutely destroy them with your kiting abilities. I'll go more into this later. Okay, now I'm going to move on to the bot lane. Which bot lane should you pick Ashe versus? Ashe can counter a very small amount of bot lanes, but she's more used for countering bruisers. She has in general a weak laning phase. She can work versus low / average ranged AD carries such as Graves or Vayne if used correctly. Which bot lane should you not pick Ashe versus? Don't pick Ashe versus heavy CC / kill bot lanes. The reason for this is her weak start game where she can easily be shut down. The main offenders you should not pit yourself against are Ezreal, Graves, Draven, Corki, Leona, Thresh, Lulu and of course Blitz. Okay, so what support works with Ashe? Ashe can work with a multitude of support champions that can complement her ability set. A few examples below are Janna, Soraka, Nunu, Sona, Thresh, Leona and Blitz. But depending on your comp and your enemies, you may need to change your comp versus heavy CC based teams to pick a more defensive support like Janna. If not, go for a more aggressive support that nullifies your weak start games such as Blitzcrank or Leona. Okay, now I'm going to go over how to lane as Ashe. Before you start, you have to decide whether you're going to play passive or aggressive, depending on a few factors: your support, whether you're countered, and of course, your skill level. Since Ashe is an endgame champion, you may just want to play passive lane over a farm lane. If you want to do this, you will have to change the order in which you level your abilities. Remember, this is a pretty rare case. If you wish to play a farm lane or passive lane, you can max in the following order. First, get a single point in your volley for that start game damage, then max your E, then Q. The reason for this is the passive gold that HawkShot will give you is worth a lot more than a max volley if you're not planning on getting kills or harassing. You'll be able to accumulate a lot more gold than nearly any other lane. And the reason I only put a single point in volley is because the more you level it, the more damage it does. But that's it doesn't apply any more frost shot and can still be used effectively to kite. Do note that you'll be weaker damage wise with this order, but your endgame items are more than going to make up for it. It will average you at a plus 1000 gold at the end of a 35-minute game if you max it. Only do this rarely if you know with 100% certainty that you can't get kills in your lane, or you're losing your lane hard and need that gold for the end game. Remember, item advantage equals additional damage. If you want a more standard and combat orientated order, use the one I'm about to give. This order will give you more damage, pushing ability, and of course poke in lane. You should use this order around 90% of the time. Firstly, as always, grab a point in Volley, then grab a point in Q, then from there max your W and Q, leveling HawkShot at only level 4. Ultimate you should just max whenever you can, that's pretty standard. This aggressive order gives Ashe some very nice lane presence for a champion that lacks it start game. Its poke potential is also extremely strong, so most of the time I would go this route, as you should nearly always be focusing on your combat skills and not the utility based ones. But passive can work, don't rule it out completely, play with your own playstyle and find your niche. Okay, now I'm going to go over general tactics while playing Ashe in lane. Ashe's passive allows you to accumulate a crit chance every 3 seconds. By the time the minions spawn, your crit should be at 100%. Your first auto attack will easily take a quarter of any enemy's HP. Match out with a volley, you've got maybe half. Most people in lane know about this tactic, so they won't appear only till the last second to get that last hit on those melee creeps. You can zone them so they miss at least 1 to 2 minions, until you use your auto attack at least. It's all about beating them in lane. That 1 CS could be the difference between IE and no IE. I know this tactic's commonly brought up as if it's really useful. Any smart opponent will not let you do it, but you can zone them from 2 creeps. That's simple. It's not used, and I haven't seen anyone else use it the way I use it, so I just thought I'd bring it up. In lane, you should in general harass anytime you can, and do this especially if the enemy champion is low range, and you're not so threatened and zoned by the enemy support. Ashe has a range of 600, that's 50 more than most AD carries in general, and a lot more than the lower range carries like Graves, who are only pulling 525. Poke, poke, poke whenever you can. This is Ashe's strong point. Her superior range in lane will actually give you an advantage. When poking in lane, anytime you auto attack for harass, apply a frost shot stack to your enemy. The reason for this is the counterplay it takes away. Usually in lane people poke each other heavily. If you apply a frost shot stack, you can auto attack and run. They will simply not be able to catch up with you to counter harass. Free poke for 8 mana any day. If an enemy oversteps over your creep line and tries to poke you, punish them severely for it by applying a stack of frost shot and volleying them. But don't stop there. Constantly auto attack them with frost shot on until they are well within their own creep line. Remember, an enemy on your creep line won't fight back, as the minions do even more damage than you can do pre-level 6. This isn't an Ashe tactic, it's a general tactic. If anyone ever steps over the line, you literally take them down. Not figuratively, but literally. Okay, now I'm going to go over an underestimated part of Ashe's kit, HawkShot. I'm not just saying this for the good of my health, as many guides do, and just brush it off vaguely as a skill you can use. I say this to so many people, and most people forget to use it. They forget to even put a point in HawkShot in general. Always use it whenever you feel slightly threatened. If Blitz is in an unwarded bush, HawkShot and harass him out of it. Or if you're chasing someone in a bush, HawkShot the bush and auto attack. Don't face check unnecessarily. In addition, you can check Dragon and Baron with it. Self-explanatory, I know, and I'm sorry I have to mention it, but just please don't forget to use it. So many Ashes do. Okay, this next point is absolutely massive and the most common mistake I've seen by Ashe players. Don't volley people in lane if you're going to hit a lot of your enemy creeps. You will push your lane without need, and since Ashe can't really get away from any decent gank, it will leave you and your overextended support dead or without any summoners. The clip below shows how to correctly volley. You aim your volley to the left or right depending on where they are and fire. You will hit some enemy creeps as well, but the free harass to the enemy champions is definitely worth it. A largely forgotten mechanic is the fact that Ashe's arrow applies a splash effect to those around it if you hit any one given person. So if stuck for a target, aim for the middle of a stack of enemies for maximum effect. Okay, now I'm going to go for my general thoughts on laning as Ashe in lane. Okay, in lane, your goal is to farm and not get tons of kills. This will be a surprise to hear for many, I'm sure. You should only fight a sure thing, or if you do by some chance get the advantage in lane due to Ashe's nice 600 range of poke, kill the Graves. If not, just farm. Too many players tend to harass looking for any kind of kill. This is just silly. You should of course try and poke your opponent out of lane or kill them if possible, but your main objective is to basically outfarm him or her with superior CS. I'm telling you now, I've seen so many people who push me to tower all game and just try and poke me and try to kill me just as fast as possible, and in the end I still get more CS than them because they're concentrating more on kills and harassment over their main objective, CS. Okay, before I get into the teamfights section, I feel I must go over one of Ashe's key mechanics, kiting. This is the most important technique you must master in Ashe, if not all AD carries. If you can't do this, you will find yourself in a lot of trouble. Kiting is a term used to describe a scenario when a champion can damage another freely while just outside his or her damage range. Ashe is king, or rather queen of kiting. She can kite nearly any champion in the game as long as they don't have any gap closers or hard CC. This takes a lot of practice to do perfectly, but is a must. For this, I would advise a friend of yours to go into a custom with you and allow you to try and kite him as long as possible. First of all, I will give you a few tips. When kiting, you must know how long it takes your attack animation to take place. This varies depending on your attack speed, so you will need to practice many adapting varying attack speeds, but firstly start off without no attack speed items at all. As you can see, I apply a stack of HawkShot, and the instant the arrow leaves my bow, I move away from the enemy. As soon as this bow position is back in my hand and reset, I fire another, applying yet another stack. Look closely and you can see how the animation requires time to reset itself and fire. In this time, you must master the ability to move between these few seconds. Teamfight engagement. First of all, you must know whether you're going to engage with your arrow or not. This is going to vary depending on your team. If you already have a good engagement, allow others to engage for you and save that arrow for when it really counts and when you really need it. But of course, if this is impossible, you will simply have to start the teamfight yourself with your ultimate. In this case, I try to wait for someone to try and clear waves by themselves, or those that will try and poke your team down. These are the most simple targets to engage onto, but of course, always try and catch the enemy AD carrier caster down if you can. If you do, it's almost instantly a one team fight. Now I'm going to go over team fights. In general, Ashe should play a pretty basic team fight when it comes to positioning. Just stay behind your front line and stick with your support. Allow others in the team to try and lock down someone for your auto attack. Remember, straight off the bat you must be firing volleys into the main body of their team to try and lock down as many people as possible. This is safe to do so as your volley's range is 1200, which is double her range, hence safe to do. From the get-go you must be able to auto attack anyone within your reach that is safe to do so. So if this means their tank, let them have it. If the front line is busy, try and lock down the back line if possible, or anyone your team has rooted out. It will be different each team fight, so just stay safe and don't take any risks for any sort of kill. Okay, now I'm going to go over some general tips as Ashe in team fights. Ashe is bait, and more than jail bait. Many people will try and engage upon you, but it's also a lot more difficult for you than with most AD carries. You can kite them back, giving them extreme tunnel vision. Use this to your advantage. Ashe can tunnel vision people massively. The front line will chase you as all AD carries are, but you can kite them, leaving the back line undefended. This is actually extremely effective with Ashe, more so than with other AD carries. Remember not to just instantly use your Ashe arrow. Save it for a key moment. Try and save your arrow for the enemy carries that will poke their head out, and then you can instantly arrow them. Too many people panic ulti, and this shouldn't be the case. Remember to apply as much HawkShot to as many targets as possible. You lack as much damage as some of the other AD carries in the game, but you can bring a lot of utility for your team by slowing the crap out of an entire team. As such, you must wait for any key bursters to use all their abilities. Wait like 3 seconds on an engagement at least. In this time you should at least volley at a safe distance. Or if your team have engaged hard on a key target, don't wait at all, apply as much damage as possible to that target. Okay, that's the end of the video. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you learned something and of course enjoyed the video. Ashe is a really underplayed AD carry, and if this video can even get one person extra to play her, I'm going to be really happy about it. Thank you so much, and just remember to leave comments, likes, dislikes if you don't like it, and anyway, just thank you again, and have a good day guys.